I think it's a really important aspect for our guys to make sure they're out in the community and understand, like, these are the things that you can do. And the other thing that ends up happening is they don't realize how much of an effect that they have on some of these kids that they come in contact with. But when they get those thank you letters and they get some of those things and we share some of those thank you letters with them, they understand how important, that our visit was. And maybe now they can do some things on their own and just continue to kind of like pay it forward.
Well, Coach, I couldn't agree with you more in the way that you approach that aspect of your team. JR and I have had coaches on throughout different sports, throughout different levels of athletics, and that's the one thing that rings true with all successful coaches is what you just touched on. And one thing we also like to do with coaches that we have on the show is ask them to share a little bit about their typical day with us. As for you, the head coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, in season, we know it's got to be hectic. We're just curious to know a little bit behind the scenes of what goes on for you as a life of the head coach of the Bulldogs.
Well, I tell you, a typical day for me is I try to get up every morning when I'm here. And I got two boys, Deacon, who was 5 years old, and Mason, who was 16 months old. And I also got a daughter who's a senior at the University of Iowa. But I try to get up every morning with those guys and get them ready for school and have breakfast with them and take them to school every morning that I'm here, because oftentimes that's the only time I'm going to get a chance to see them. So that's my time with them. So I'll get those guys ready and drop them off at school at 8:30 in the morning, and I come in here in the office. And from that point in time, I just got to look at my schedule. And the one thing I want to make sure I do is I meet with our guys weekly. So I'm at least going to have about 2 or 3 meetings with our players throughout the morning there. I'm talking about academics, watching film, and just sitting down and talking to them. So we usually have those meetings. And then from that point on time, I usually have to watch tape of our opponent. So I'm going to watch tape from our opponent sometime between 11 and 1 o'clock. And then around 1 o'clock after lunch, I'll get with my assistant coach that has a scout of our upcoming opponent, and we'll sit down and we'll compare notes about what he sees, about how we need to guard Arkansas, what do we need to do on our press offense and things like that. And then from that point on, we'll have a staff meeting and talk about practice. And then once we talk about practice, I'll put together a practice plan. We'll have practice, and then after practice, my coaches give me who I need to call, who I need to text in recruiting. And then I'll finally get home and try to eat dinner with my wife if possible. And right after I eat dinner with my wife, I usually go upstairs and start making recruiting phone calls, or I start watching tape again till about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I try to get me about 5 hours of sleep.
Man, I thought JR and I, we thought we were busy, Coach. Man, you got us beat.
I tell you what, Coach, that's a heck of a schedule, Coach. And the Coach, I know the schedule will have you guys in Nashville on March the 4th, the NCAA tournament. So hopefully we're running into each other either at Vandy or during the NCAA tournament time. So I look forward to seeing you, meeting you, Coach, in person, seeing you guys play and live and in color. And hope to keep supporting you guys and see you guys win some more of these games out here, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it. And I think that everybody can see that we're playing our best basketball, and it's fortunate we're doing an SEC play, but I'm just really proud of our guys for continuing to stay the course, and it's starting to pay dividends for them.
Yes, indeed, Coach. I said thank you again, and good luck this Saturday against Arkansas.
Thank you very much.
And that was Mississippi State men's basketball coach Rick Ray joining Jerry and John on the Bossman Show. Coming up next after the break, South Carolina Gamecocks men's basketball coach Frank Martin joins Jerry and John on the Bossman Show. hip-hop fans, I got a great album for you. The debut album from Family Grind ENT, True Speech and 313 Fresh. We're going to give you 2 discs, 33 songs of pure, genuine hip-hop. Albums available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, illstreetrex.com, and streaming live right now on Rhapsody, Beats Music, Spotify, Xbox Music, Slacker Radio, and SoundCloud. Check them out today. True Speech and 313 Fresh. Family Grind ENT. Believe in it. Get it. For all your photo, video, and voiceover needs, check out the fine folks at Blueberry Productions. They will take good care of you. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. Check out their work at blueberryproductions.tv, the Facebook page, Blueberry Productions, also a Vimeo page, a YouTube page, and it's Blueberry, BLUBERRY, Prod on Twitter. Check them out today. Blueberry Productions, great people, great work, great service. Welcome back to the Bossman Show with John Beckler. We're joined by Coach Frank Martin here on the Bossman Show. Head coach of South Carolina Gamecocks have a game this week against Vanderbilt in Nashville. I'll be at that game. And Coach, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Just getting ready to go compete against one of the best coaches in the country, in Kevin Stallings, and a very talented young team.
And yes, Coach, I want to talk about your team, Coach. This is your 3rd year at South Carolina. And what's your overall impression of your roster so far since you've been in this season? Because I think you guys played well in non-conference, and you guys have made strides in the conference play. So what's your feeling about your roster right now?
Yeah, it's we played real well in non-conference play, had some great wins, and then league play started, and the SEC is real good, and it's kind of. Our confidence has kind of gone down a little bit. We're not being as aggressive and confident in how we do things, and that has a lot to do with the teams in this league. Very well coached, and they've made things difficult for us, and we've been forced to grow up.
Well, Coach, what are your thoughts on Tuesday's game against Arkansas and your team's effort playing shorthanded and playing around some really foul trouble?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to be is short bodies when you play Arkansas, because it's such a fast game and such an athletic game that you don't want to be minus number of bodies, but we were. And I thought we played pretty well. I thought we tried, held them to 39% from the field, held them below their season average at home, but we shot 27% and had 14 first-half turnovers. And anytime you do that, that's a recipe for not success when you play Arkansas. And as the game got older or deeper into the game, I should say, we started kind of quick shooting a little bit because we had to try and close a deficit, and we didn't make any shots, which led us to a bigger deficit.
And, Coach, was the familiarity with Mike Anderson's system when you played against him when he was at Kansas State and he had been in Missouri, it helped you for preparing for this game and getting your guys ready to play Arkansas with that 40 minutes of hell style that they've been employing ever since Mike's been there?
Yeah, that's, I mean, Mike and I, we kind of joke about it all the time because I was in Conference USA, he was at UAB, and then he goes to Missouri and we end up at Kansas State. And now he goes to Arkansas, and then a year later I decided to join South Carolina, and it seems like we're always chasing each other, and our teams have played against each other so much. The thing when you prepare to play Mike's team, you better be prepared for the aggressiveness, the unity, the depth that they utilize. And going into that game, we had 9 bodies in practice, one of which was a walk-on. So it was hard to simulate the kind of speed and aggressiveness with which we had to play to be able to have success there in practice. So we started the game. I think we were doing okay, but we just couldn't sustain, and I think we got tired and mentally fatigued more than anything.
And, Coach, as we said earlier, another big game for you is against Vandy, who beat Florida by 6 points on Tuesday night as well. Without giving too much away, what are you seeing on film in preparation for those guys? I know they have Damian Jones, LaChance. So what are you looking for you guys to do well to beat Vandy at Memorial Gym on Saturday?
Well, we got to make sure that our defense is rock solid, and Vandy's the kind of team that just utilizes its personnel so well offensively. And all those young kids, all those freshmen, I remember watching them play early in the year, and they were kind of like their cuts and their ball movement was not as sharp and as fast as it is right now. So you can tell that those young kids have a much better understanding of their system and how they need to play. Our defense is going to get challenged, and our principles better be good. We better deal with screens and cuts the right way. And then we have to shoot better than 27%. I mean, it's going to be hard to win any games in the SEC, even more so on the road, if you shoot 27% from the field. We played a lot better offensively in non-conference play. And in conference play, I've been happy with how we've been playing lately, but we haven't made enough shots, and we got to start converting some of these shots that we're missing.
And Coach, 9 games left in conference play. Curious to know what your expectations are for the team over the course of those final conference games, and are there certain goals that you or your staff or team want to achieve in particular as you finish out this season?
Yeah, I'm not big into that kind of stuff. Our goal, we have one goal, and this goal will be with us every single day as long as I'm afforded this great opportunity of coaching at this institution, is we want to compete for an SEC championship. That's our only goal. And if you're good enough to compete for the SEC championship, then you're good enough to go to the NCAA tournament, and you're good enough to make a run in the NCAA tournament. Outside of that, the only other goal we always have is to come in every single day and work as hard and as best we can to get a little better from what we were yesterday. That's all we try to do. That's as simple as I try and keep things.
And I hear that, Coach. And, Coach, speaking to getting into the NCAA tournament, I want to ask coaches about how you go about making your non-conference schedule. I know you've had a team now for 3 years. Do you go about want to give your guys a tougher schedule to get them ready for conference play, or you want to kind of dial down a little bit to kind of do a mix of both, a little easy games here, hard games, to make the guys ready for the grind of the SEC playing the Kentuckys, the Alabamas, Vandy, Florida? So how you go about scheduling your non-conference typically for you and your team?
I like challenging our team. I've always been, from my Kansas State days, I believe in putting together as hard a schedule as you can put together. You got to balance it, but it's got to be real hard. You have to challenge your team in non-conference play to get it prepared for the kind of basketball that you have to play to have a chance to compete for a conference championship, especially in a league like the SEC. So I believe in challenges. I believe in making it difficult. It's the more prepared you are, the more calloused you are, the more level-headed, and the more stay-the-course frame of mind you're forced to develop, which is what you need so you can survive in conference play. And so we're always going to try our best to set up a top 20 strength of schedule. That's important to us, and we tried to do it since I got here. We've changed our schedule completely. We owe it to our university, our fans, our players. If you want to go beat Kentucky and Florida and the powers to be in the SEC, you need big-time players. Well, big-time players want to play in big-time games. So you have to schedule those kind of games. And then lastly, we owe it to the SEC. We owe it to our league to schedule the right way so the power numbers